Hello, everybody, and welcome to Blue Jays Today, where you boys always have something to say about the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm your host, Nicholas Playlog.
And I'm your host, Adam Peddle, and today, guys, we got to take a look at this Toronto Blue Jays bullpen. Even though it was very, very good this season, and thank God it was so good this season, that we are going to miss a couple pieces. You know, they're going to be leaving this team in the offseason, so we got to go look at free agency, maybe look at some trades later, and we got to figure out how we're going to replenish those holes to make sure that bullpen is looking just as good going into 2024.
Let's start things off. A little nice coffee sip.
Yeah, right.
Let's start things off by looking at the dudes who are leaving these Toronto Blue Jays, everybody. So, as you guys know, big strength. Big strength for these Blue Jays. And I don't want to go back to the dark ages, you know. I'm talking 2020, 2021, where you get a lead. Different Blue Jays team back then. You get a lead, you cannot hold on to it.
Exactly.
You cannot hold on to it. This past season, our problem was getting the league in the first place.
Yeah.
But when we had it, it felt like 9 times out of 10, we are going to win that game.
Oh, we kept it, right? And obviously, we don't have to beat the dead horse, but like the offense wouldn't even help us get back into the game. It was the quite opposite this year.
Literally, dude. So this was a major strength for the Toronto Blue Jays, and we have to freaking keep it that way, folks. Looking at the dudes who were on the team or who are going to be on the team this next year, probably. This isn't 100% a proper list, but you know you're going to have Romano. You know you're going to have Swanson. You know you're going to have Cabrera, Green, Meza. This is the area where we're not entirely sure. Richards and Simber, they're up in the air right now.
Here's the thing. You got to make some room for some guys in this offseason, the 40-man roster. It's starting to run out of room, and it seems like Richards and Simber are kind of falling to the bottom pits of that 40-man roster. They've been unreliable. Simber's barely played this year. They've been shaky. So one of those guys is probably going to get cut, as Blue Jays Nation predicts here. We're going to pretend like both of them are getting cut for this video.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, you got basically Jimmy after this, an open spot and an open spot. Also, quick comment, Green also has an option this year, but if we pick it up, he's with us for another 3 years. I think they're going to do that. There's no way they'd bring this guy in, have him pitch for like 2 months and not do that.
I agree,
think that was the plan the whole time.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, like, he was pretty solid. I mean, he did have a few rough outings there, but yeah, like, you don't want to pay him just for like, what, like a month and a half of work?
Yeah,
you know, like,
basically, yeah.
Shoot your shot with this dude, and you don't really want to do that again with all these literal holes that you're going to have popping up anyways. So.
Absolutely. And they're big holes, too. Like, these aren't just any slouches just leaving the Toronto Blue Jays, guys. You have Jordan Hicks, which everybody loves. I got to say, that was one of my favorite additions this year. Probably my favorite addition this year at the deadline. The numbers were good. I mean, they don't really reflect it, but I believe he was much, much better as a Toronto Blue Jay. And yes, you could tell right there, the whip close to 1, the ERA at 2.63. He really changed the face of that bullpen, man.
Dude, this is everything that I wanted Nate Pearson to be. You know, you bring him in a key situation. Maybe you got a runner on, and you just got to power. You just got to power fastball by someone. And this guy comes in and he gets the job done. You know, an absolute K machine. I loved having this dude in our bullpen and not necessarily having to save it for the closer, right? Because we know that Jordan Romano, he does have some gas, but Jordan Hicks, he's got it too, and you could put him in the 7th if you needed, right? If this was the key moment in the game where it's like, we have to hold on to these runs right now. We need to get somebody back. If it's not going to be Jordan Hicks, we need to get somebody back in there with some high velocity, man, because you just saw the difference that it makes being able to go from a pitcher like Hyun-Jin Ryu to a pitcher like freaking Jordan Hicks, dude. All up in their heads if you're the opposing batter.
Absolutely. So there's tons of different options that we got to look at here, right? You got a lot of actual or internal options, which we never had in the past, right? You've got guys like Nate Pearson. You know, do you take another shot on him? Zach Pop. Do you remember him? He's still in the organization, right? Those are 2 options that might be able to come up. Do you feel comfortable starting the year with anybody in the internal options to start out?
Bro, I'll be honest, I'm not so sure, man. Like, Zach Pop, like, really? Like, are we gonna do that again? You know, and listen, I've been all up on the Nate Pearson train. Like, I tried to, like, herald this dude as, you know, I really have tried to believe in him. But what are you giving me to believe in? What are you giving to me to believe in right now? Like, sure, you know, you're hot on the radar gun, but the ball's over here. You know what I mean? It's like we're missing the zone. We're getting hammered when we are in the zone. Nate Pearson, for me, man, it feels like a prime trade candidate, if I'm being completely honest. And I think if you're the Toronto Blue Jays, you're looking at that bullpen, you're going, okay, wow, like, this actually worked. For the first time in what feels like forever, this actually worked. We do not want to go back to the dark days by, you know, like, not investing a lot of money in this bullpen. So I don't really think I feel super comfortable, man.
I think leaving it as it is going to actually hurt the Toronto Blue Jays, like you're saying. And I'm not going to feel comfortable for sure. Having those guys in the minors, however, makes me actually feel comfortable.
Totally.
Like, if we have to bring up Nate Pearson or you have to bring up Zach Pop, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. We'll take it. But yeah, much rather be looking externally on the free agent market.
And maybe I'm okay with one of them. Maybe I'm okay with one of them, because I mean you're gonna have games where it's like you're getting blown up, or you're gonna have games where you're getting blown up. You got to play somebody that you don't want to play anyways. Might as well be you know. And on the off chance that they do pop off, like, great, now you're here. But I do think we need to be going out and we got to look at some guys. Here is the freaking list, everybody.
Time for a quick shout out to Betway. Betway is the best place to make all of your sports bets on all of your favorite teams. Betway is also in collaboration with iGaming Ontario. Must be 19 years older to participate. And guys, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content.
There is a crap load of closers and relief pitchers, and we're not going to go through all of them because we'd be here for 1,000 years, but there are some big notable names, everybody. Somebody who is going to break the record for the highest paid reliever in history. Assuredly, it's going to be Josh Hader. This guy he's been phenomenal his entire career. He's only had one bad season. It was 2022, and he said, no, we're going to throw that in the trash can. We're going to come back. We're going to be a freaking Hall of Fame. We're going to put up a 1.28 ERA. There are very few guys who are available on the free agent market who would dethrone Jordan Romano from the closing situation. This is one of the guys who would dethrone Jordan Romano from the closing situation.
This absolutely would be the guy to do it. Now, are the Blue Jays going to actually do it? No. It's just like, here's the thing, guys. We got to remind ourselves, you know, yes, Josh Hader, super sexy, super cool. Let's pump in the more pitching. Pitching wins championships. I agree with you, and this guy would help us do that. But let's remember the problem. Let's not forget that the problem was the offense. And if you watched our videos, you've been watching our podcast, you know that we've got about $40 to $50 million average annual value to spend this offseason. He's going to cost at least half of that. At least half of that. So I'm not ready to spend half of that money on a closer, which, yes, would be very good, but doesn't solve the problem. So Josh Hader, as cool as he'd be, probably not an option for the Blue Jay. What about a Craig Kimbrell, another notable guy, veteran, 35. He's been around forever, man. He's been having some up and down years in the last few years, but he kind of founded it back again this year. 3.26 ERA, a 1.043 WHIP. Some people who are going to watch this are saying, I don't want Craig Kimbrell because they just watched him fail in the NLCS with the Phillies. But he's still a guy that you could depend on, but he might want a closing role if he was to the team.
Yeah, I'll be honest, man. Like, Craig off the Craig Kimbrell train, you know, like I love what you've done in your career, dude. You know, you're probably going to the Hall of Fame as well, but it's just I'm not ready to go in and to do something like that. Like with all the bad years that have been sprinkled in the last few seasons, I don't think that he's the dude for me.
Not reliable.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm okay if you go out and you get him, but I think that I would prefer to have somebody. I prefer to have somebody who's a little bit more stable than Craig Kimbrell.
And I do think he's going to still cost a bit because of the, you know, the notoriety of Craig Kimbrell.
1,000%, dude. And yeah, speaking about the closing role, right? Relief pitchers, they really like to have their situation set in stone. Craig Kimbrell, for the most part of his entire career, has been a closing pitcher, and he just would not have that role with the Toronto Blue Jays.
Absolutely. So that's out of the question. Now, a guy who I swear, if we go back to 2021, we can find a video about this guy. We've been chasing him for years right now, and we've got another chance. The Mets got him last year, but we got a chance to pick him up. And that man is David Robertson. Now, this man's getting quite old. He's going to be 38, turning 39 in the middle of next year. But he still put up a decent campaign, 3.03 ERA, WHIP of 1.194, just a little bit above his career average. David Robertson's a guy that you could, theoretically, he's not going to throw gas like Hicks, but you could rely on him in that 7-8 role, kind of middle of the innings to get some outs.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the age, man, and it's like it's getting to me a little bit, like I'm definitely not trying to be ageist, but like this guy would be 39 years old. Like people are very capable of still putting up numbers at 39 years old, but like how much does he have in the tank? I'm not sure.
I'm okay
probably with it. There's no risk involved. There's no risk involved. But is he the guy? I'm okay with it. Like go, I guess do it. It wouldn't get me as excited as it would have got me in 2021, though.
I'd be like, okay, good. That fills a hole. That's a middle relief pitcher with, who's solid. We kind of know what we're going to get. And then again, if he falls off, then you're gone.
For real. Last notable dude that we're going to really bring up in this one highlight here is Matt Moore. And I mean, this guy, I'm 1,000% in on. He had a great year last year, 2.56 ERA, over 50 innings, only 34 years old, right? Only 34 years old, so he's definitely got a lot of time left. He also has a deep history here. He's been around the league. He definitely has had some bad seasons before, but the last few have been pretty good. 2022 and 2023. Those were solid, man. So this is definitely a dude who I think I would be 1,000% in on if the Toronto Blue Jays wanted to target him. And I feel like Matt Moore is kind of the player profile that the Toronto Blue Jays like to look for.
I gotta agree. I think we were looking at him as well, kind of last offseason, he'd be an interesting option. And I think, he proved it yet again. That was the big thing back in the day, was he did it once, can he do it again? Well, he did. So, and I think 34 for a relief pitcher, it's not uncommon to see a dude break out. I mean, look at Jay Jackson, which we didn't even bring up. He's going to be leaving the team. So, if you want to bring in someone with a little bit more experience around the league, someone with a little bit of cooler heart rate, then I'd be looking at Matt Moore. But realistically, you got two spots, open in this bullpen. Do you think that we're gonna go make a big splash in the bullpen, or do you think we're gonna make a trade? What do you think the realistic option?
I think that we are going to make a splash. I don't think it's gonna be a Josh Hader level cannonball, but I think that this team understands that this was a massive strength for them, and if they're gonna stick with that strategy, then you have to keep it that way, right? I was on the phone with my dad actually. I was talking about this. You cannot do a whole 180 shift. I know that the offense was bad, right? I know that the offense was bad, and we're going to really focus on that more, but you can't 180-degree shift this and completely forget about the other stuff. And that's what we did last offseason, where it was the defense and the pitching is bad, we're going to 180 shift, and just hope that the offense stays the same. And we saw the problem with that, right? Where you just only invest in these two areas, they get really good, but then you completely miss out on this other really important aspect of the game. So I think for the Toronto Blue Jays, we got to learn from that mistake and realize that it's a little bit more of a 90-degree shift. Focus on the offense. Deal with that. But don't forget about what made you the team, what made you go to the playoffs this past season.
Yeah, and it was absolutely that pitching staff, man. The one luxury is you don't have to make a splash for the starting pitcher this year.
No, you
it's
don't.
Full. Yeah. Right. So that's a luxury for the Toronto Blue Jays, and you can make a couple big. You can make a big splash. You have $50 million, $40 or $50 million to spend. You can go spend 10 of that million on average. Get a solid bullpen guy. You still got 30 to 40 to spend on one or two, probably two or three bats.
1,000%, you know what I mean? Dude. You bring in Matt Moore, you bring in Lourdes Gurriel Jr., you bring in somebody else. I'm chilling.
Teoscar Hernandez, get a home reunion. Teo, Lord, back with the team.
That'd be
and Matt Moore,
nuts, bro.
We're winning this year.
Dude, you get the home run jacket back.
Get the home run jacket back. I actually think that we're gonna win this year. I think the whole fan base would turn around. I'm not even joking.
That's honestly, you do that, Toronto Blue Jays. If you're listening, Ross Atkins, you bring back our friends, okay? Bring back our guys, and we will like you again.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, let us know in the comments down below. What do you think about these relief pitchers? Is there anyone out there that we haven't mentioned in this video? We'll probably talk about them in this offseason.
Also, $3 for them to become a Patreon member. Shout out and thank you to every single one of our current Patreon members and our YouTube members too. All of you guys are loved and appreciated.
Guys, thank you so much for watching.
And as always, go Jays go!